jungle.
Hello everyone, welcome to the video on Managerial Economics. I am Dr. Smriti Mathur, working as an assistant professor at Babu Banarsidass University, Lucknow. In this video, we will discuss about what Managerial Economics is all about, the nature and scope of Managerial Economics, along with its relationship with other subjects. This video will provide insights about the roles and responsibilities of economists and objective of the firm. Before understanding the concepts of managerial economics, it is important for us to understand about the meaning of managers. A manager is a person responsible for supervising and motivating employees and for directing the progress of an organization. He is responsible for directing the efforts of others, including those who delegate tasks within an organization, such as a firm or a family. Also, he is responsible for purchasing inputs required for production of goods and services, such as output of a firm, food for the needy, etc. Along with this, they have to take active participation in other important decisions related to organization, such as fixing the price of a product or quality of a product to be produced or expenditure decisions. Application of economics gives a great deal to managerial decision making, as it provides guidance in finding an appropriate solution to the business problems. So, a working knowledge of economics is essential for managers. This gave birth to managerial economics as a separate branch of economics. In managerial studies, the terms business economics and managerial economics are often synonyms. The emergence of managerial economics can be attributed to a number of factors. The growing complexity of the business world can be attributed to rapid growth of large-scale industries, increasing number of business firms, quick innovation, and introduction of new products. Globalization and growth of multinational corporations, etc. These factors have contributed a great deal to inter-firm, inter-industry, and inter-country business rivalry and competition. Making a reasonable business decision under the conditions of growing complexity of business has inevitably increased the application of economic concepts, theories, and tools of analysis in business decision making. In order to be able to stand in this complex business conditions, the need for professionally trained managerial manpower with great knowledge of economics has rapidly increased. Therefore, managerial economics has emerged as an important aspect of managerial studies. The science of managerial economics has emerged recently. Managerial economics as a subject gained popularity in USA after the publication of book Managerial Economics by Joel Dean in 1951. Managers of a firm are faced with a number of decision-making problems. Most important problem faced by a business firm is to decide about the type of product to be produced or services to be provided. After production of a product, the next problem faced by managers is to decide about the pricing of the product. In deciding about the price of the product, a firm has to estimate demand for its product and also to estimate cost-output relationship, which will determine its profits. The other important decision to be taken by business firms related to the choice of a technique of production. A technique of production involves the use of a particular combination of factors, especially labor and capital, to produce a commodity. Along with these decisions, advertisement expenditure plays an important role in the market structure of monopolistic competition and differentiated oligopoly, where firms have to compete to sell their products. Advertisement is required to promote sales of a product and to create bonds for the new product which is planned to be introduced in the market. Another important decision to be taken for long-term production, which includes the location of the plant for manufacturing, size of the plant, technique of production, etc. Long-run decisions are also related to investment or capital expenditure. Investment expenditure is required to expand the productive capacity, developing and introducing products. This expenditure yields return in the future period. Since the science of economics is concerned with the allocation of scarce resources to alternative uses to achieve maximum possible satisfaction of the people, so the management science is concerned with the allocation of scarce resources at the disposal of the firm. Managerial economics is therefore the study of how to direct scarce resources in the way that most efficiently achieves a managerial goal. It is a very broad discipline in that it describes methods useful for directing everything from the resources of a household to maximize household welfare to the resources of a firm to maximize profits. Managerial economics is an application of microeconomics and its supportive quantitative methods drawn from mathematics and statistics in the decision-making process for managers who are in pursuit of recognizing and utilizing the optimal treatments and solutions to managerial problems and issues in order to reach a certain level of efficiency in achieving the firm's objectives. Different economists gave their views on managerial economics. According to Spencer and Siegelman, the integration of economic theory with business practice for the purpose of facilitating decision-making and forward planning by management. Mansfield defined managerial economics as a link between economic theory and decision sciences in the analysis of managerial decision-making. According to T.J. Webster, managerial economics is the synthesis of microeconomic theory and quantitative methods to find optimal solutions to managerial decision-making problems. According to Professor Evan J. Douglas, managerial economics is concerned with the application of economic principles and methodologies to the decision-making process within the firm or organization under the conditions of uncertainty. Managerial economics has both descriptive and prescriptive elements. The descriptive approach is concerned with positive economics. It is concerned with what was, is, and will be in actuality with a certain degree of objectivity and regardless of any subjective positions. Managerial economics is descriptive in that it attempts to consider the given conditions and circumstances, investigates any causes and efforts, formulates theories and designs models, and predicts what might happen and what would change and in what direction. On the other hand, the prescriptive approach adopts a normative stance. It is based on subjective views and value judgment. It is all about what ought to be from a certain perspective. Managerial economics is perspective in that it attempts to predict the outcomes of specific management decisions. Thus, the principles developed in a course of managerial economics may be used to prescribe the most efficient way to achieve an organization's objectives, such as profit maximization, sales maximization, and maximizing the market share. Now, we will move further and talk about how managerial economics acquires its essential identity. This figure clearly shows the contributions of three components. Firstly, quantitative economics, which includes contribution of microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematics, and statistics. Secondly, the scientific procedure of decision making, which includes sequenced and integrated steps of strategic decision making. And lastly, the contribution of the related functional fields. Now we will discuss three components in detail. First component is quantitative economics. Managerial economics uses economic theory to solve problems. Managerial economics uses economic theory to solve business decision-making problems. According to Bauman, economic theory contributes to managerial economics in three important ways. Economic theory contributes to management science and provides a framework for providing and building analytical models. Economics provides a set of analytical methods. And lastly, economics provides various economic concepts which enables managers to avoid conceptual pitfalls. The quantitative approach would provide many technical tools such as numerical analysis, statistical estimation, mathematical optimization, econometric models, forecasting procedures, game theoretical scenarios, and simulations, information system, schemes, and linear programming. Quantitative economics comprises microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematics, and statistics. Microeconomics deals with the theory of decision making by individual consumers, resource owners, and business firms. Microeconomics has built models which explains how individual consumers choose among goods to maximize their satisfaction and how firms decide to fix price and output to maximize their profits. It deals with the demand theory, analysis of cost and production, etc. Macroeconomics focuses on the study of economy as a whole and its various aggregates such as national income, unemployment, inflation, poverty, etc. Macroeconomics contributes to managerial economics because firms do not work in vacuum. Business decisions by managers are affected by the changes in the macro environment. Apart from these two, mathematics and statistics also contributes to managerial economy, called decision sciences. Managerial economics draws heavily on the decision sciences for the techniques used for decision making. The techniques of decision sciences used especially for business decision making are optimization techniques, that is differential calculus and mathematical programming. These optimization techniques are used in the analysis of alternative course of action and the evaluation of results obtained so that the best alternative which helps in attaining the objectives efficiently is chosen. In addition to optimization techniques, Statistical methods proves to be very helpful for developing decision rules. Statistical methods includes measure of central tendency, measure of dispersion, correlation, regression, trend projections, least square, statistical estimation, game theory, etc. Second component is the managerial decision-making process. Decision-making is crucial for running a business enterprise which faces numerous problems requiring decisions. Problems which requires decisions to be made by managers includes which product to be produced, what price to be charged, what quantity to be produced, how much investment expenditure to be incurred, etc. Decision-making process starts with establishment of the objectives of business enterprise. A business firm should decide about its objectives after evaluation of all social costs and benefits of their decision because these decisions are irreplaceable. After deciding about the objectives, next step is to define the problem. Defining the nature of the problem is meant for solving the problem. Once the problems are identified, the next step is to find out alternative solutions to the problem which requires consideration of the variables impacting the problems. In other words, the relationship between variables with the problems has to be established. After this, all the course of action needs to be evaluated after the collection and analysis of relevant data. The course of action which is optimum should be chosen. Manager works under certain constraints which may be legal or financial or social before deciding about the optimum solution to the problem. Lastly, the selected course of action needs to be implemented. The implementation of the decision requires constant monitoring and time-to-time updating in response to changes in conditions or the firm's operating environment. The last component is the relationship of managerial economics with other subjects. There are disciplines which contribute to managerial decision making. Managerial economics is economics applied to decision making. It is a special branch of economics, bridging the gap between pure economic theory and managing trial experience. Economics has two main branches, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Mathematics has helped in the development of economic theories, and now mathematical economics has become a very important branch of economics. Mathematical approach to economic theories makes them more precise and logical for the estimation and prediction of economic factors. For decision making and forward planning, the mathematical method is very useful. The important branches of mathematics generally used by a managerial economist are geometry, algebra, and calculus. Mathematicians, statisticians, engineers, and others join together and develop models and analytical tools which have grown into a specialized subject known as operations research. The basic purpose of the approach is to develop a scientific model of the system which may be utilized for policy making. Statistics is a very useful science for business executives because a business runs on estimates and probabilities. It provides the basis for the empirical estimates of theory. It provides the individual firm with measures of appropriate functional relationships involved in decision making. Statistics supplies many tools to managerial economics. Suppose forecasting has to be done. For this purpose, trend projections are used. Similarly, multiple regression techniques are used. In managerial economics, measures of central tendency like the mean, median, mode, and measures of dispersion, correlation, and regression, least squares, estimates are widely used. Managerial economics is closely related to accounting. It is recording the financial operations of a business firm. A business is started with the main aim of earning profit. Capital is invested or employed for purchasing properties such as building, furniture, etc. and for meeting the current expenses of the business. Decision making is an integral part of today's business management. The theory of decision making is relatively a new subject that has a significance for managerial economics. In the process of management, such as planning, organizing, leading, and controlling, a decision making is always essential. A manager faces a number of problems connected with his or her business, such as production, inventory, cost, marketing, pricing, investment, and personnel. Now we will move further and talk about the nature and scope of managerial economics. Managers study managerial economics because it results in smooth functioning of the organization. Managerial economics has components of microeconomics as it deals with the problems of individual organization such as product, demand, price and output determination, etc. Managerial economics has components of macroeconomics also, as the organizations are affected by the external environment of the economy, such as government policies, income and employment, business cycle, etc. Managerial economics is multidisciplinary in nature as it uses many tools and principles belonging to various disciplines such as accounting, finance, statistics, mathematics, production, operations research, human resource, marketing, etc. Managerial economics is prescriptive or normative in nature because it aims at goal achievement and deals with practical solutions or problems by implementing corrective measures. Another feature of managerial economics is that it is management oriented. It acts as a tool in the minds of managers to deal with business related problems and uncertainties appropriately. It also provides for goal achievement, policy formulation, and effective decision making. Also, since managerial economics is a practical and logical approach towards the day-to-day business problems, therefore, it is pragmatic in nature. Managerial economics is regarded as both science and art. Managerial economics is science as it is body of knowledge that determines or observes the internal and external environment for decision making. Also, managerial economics, policies and principles are made after persistent testing and are universally applicable. Managerial economics is an art as it involves the application of different economic principles, techniques, and methods to solve business problems. After After discussion of the nature of managerial economics, we will talk about the scope of managerial economics. The scope of managerial economics refers to its area of study. It comprises economics concepts, theories, and tools of analysis that can be applied in the process of business analysis, business decision making, to analyze business problems, to evaluate business options, to assess the business prospects with the purpose of finding appropriate solutions to business problems and formulating business policies for future. The scope of managerial economics covers two areas of decision making: operational or internal issues and environmental or external issues. Operational issues refers to those decision-making issues arising in the management of the firm. All such management issues falls within the purview and control of the managers. Operational issues includes demand analysis and forecasting, which help management to maintain or strengthen its market position, and profit-based pricing and competitive strategy, which helps to explain how prices are determined under different types of market conditions and the anticipation of the response of competitions, the firm's pricing, advertising, and marketing strategies. Internal issues also include production cost, estimates of a range of output, identifying the factors causing variation in cost estimates, and choosing the cost, that is minimizing output level. Resource allocation helps in efficient utilization of scarce resources. Strategic planning provides long-term goals and objectives and selects the strategies to achieve the same. The perspective of strategic planning is global. Strategic planning has given rise to a new area of study called corporate economics. Lastly, capital or investment decisions helps in efficient allocation and management of capital. Along with operational issues, environmental or external issues refers to the general economic, social, and political atmosphere within which the firm operates. This includes economic issues. Economic issues are related to the type of economic system in the country, that is, the general trends in production, employment, income, prices, savings, and investment, trends in the working of financial institutions, that is, banks, financial corporations, insurance companies, magnitude and trends in foreign trade, trends in labor and capital markets, government's economic policies with industrial policy, monetary policy, fiscal policy, price policy, etc. Along with economic issues, environmental issues also include the social environment, which refers to social structure as well as social organization like trade unions, consumer cooperatives, etc. And the political environment, which refers to the nature of state activity, chiefly states' attitudes towards private business, political stability, etc. Now we will talk about roles and responsibilities of a managerial economist. A managerial economist plays a vital role in the decision-making process of an organization. They are responsible for assisting the top management of an organization to make efficient business decisions. Role of managerial economist is divided into three heads, namely analysis of business operations, analysis of external environment, and other important functions of managerial economics. Analysis of business operations is related to internal environment. The managerial economist can help in the management in making decisions regarding internal operations of a firm. Managerial economists play an important role in management in determining the budget of profits and sale volume in the coming years, firm's credit policy, quantity of a production, quality of a production, expansion of the business, capacity to be installed, etc. Analysis of external factors is related to the external environment. The prime duty of a managerial economist is to make extensive study of the business environment and external factors affecting the firm's interest. The managerial economist plays an important role in determining the trends of the national economy and the international economy, the state of business cycle, future demand, availability of credit worthiness, etc. Other functions of managerial economists include surveying different markets, predicting the industry's total demand for business, analyzing pricing in different industries, finding a suitable solution to the problem. Analysis of valuables and actions in competitive firms, evaluation and analysis of capital projects in productive work, determination of production schedules, and goods tables in the industry, making various appropriate decisions available, financial instruments, analyze the development of the economy as well as forecasting external conditions affecting a professional firm. A managerial economist plays a very significant role in decision making and forward planning. But to serve his role successfully, he must thoroughly recognize his responsibilities, some of which are to increase the profitability of the firm, to make accurate and successful forecasts, to maintain relationship with experts, to aware of availability of resources, to simplify the decision-making process, and responsibility to minimize risk. Another very important topic of discussion is objectives of managerial economics. The efficient management of a business firm requires an optimal or best solution out of the available course of action for a firm. Efficient decision making requires establishing the goals and objectives to be achieved. The first responsibility of a business manager is to achieve the objectives of the firm they manage. All the managerial decisions, policies, strategies, and functions are directed towards the attainment of the objectives of the firm. One of the most important objectives is profit maximization. Economic profit is the difference between total revenue and economic cost. Thus, in this formula, Pi refers to total economic profits, TR stands for total revenue, and TC stands for total economic cost. It is economic profit which firms try to maximize in their decision making about the level of output to be produced and price to be charged for its product. In the figure, the TR curve represents the total revenue earned from selling varying amounts of output of a product. Total cost curve depicts the total economic cost at different levels of output. It will be seen from the upper part of figure. At OM level of output, total revenue equals total economic cost, and therefore at this level of output the firm is just breaking even. Therefore, point B at which TR curve cuts TC is called as break-even point. Beyond this break-even level of output, positive profits start accruing to the firm as it expands its level of output. Profits go on increasing till output level OQ is reached. It will be seen from the upper part of the figure that at output OQ, the difference between total revenue and total cost is maximum. That is, JH is the largest distance between TR and TC curve. Therefore, JH is the maximum profits that can be earned by the firm, given the total revenue and total cost conditions. The simple profit maximizing model of the firm provides very useful guidelines for the decision making by the firm with regard to efficient resource management. Thus, any business decision by a firm will increase its profits if the following conditions prevail. It brings about an increase in total revenue more than increase in cost. It causes increase in revenue. Costs remain unchanged. It reduces cost more than it reduces revenue. And it reduces cost, revenue remaining the same. But this model has two important limitations. It does not incorporate time dimension in the decision-making process of the firm, and secondly, it does not analyze the firm's behavior under conditions of risk and uncertainty. The modern model of the firm, known as firm's value maximization model or shareholders' wealth maximization model, overcomes limitations by incorporating the time dimension into the managerial decision-making process. This model also considers risk involved in business decision-making. Modern theory of the firm assumes that the primary objective of the firm or their managers are to maximize value of wealth or shareholders' wealth. Modern managerial economics aims at maximizing long-run profits, and because of this objective, business enterprises incurs huge expenditure on research and development, new capital equipment, and expensive promotional schemes for their products. Therefore, incorporation of time in the analysis of decision making by the managers of business enterprise is essential. Value of the firm is measured by calculating the present value of cash cost flows of profits of the firm over the number of years in the future. To do so, profits of future years must be discounted because money value, a rupee of profit in the future, is worth less than a rupee of profit in the present. Therefore, the value of the firm's or shareholders' wealth is given by the present value of all expected future profits of the firm. Equation shown in the figure shows the formula for calculating present value, where the term PT.Q2 measures the total revenue generated by the sale of the product, while VTQ plus F represents the total cost of the firm in period. The value of the firm depends on the sale of the product and pricing decision by managers on the one hand, and the firm's cost, both variable and fixed, on the other. Sales and pricing decisions of a firm depends on the demand function for the firm and its marketing strategy. Cost of production also depends on physical production conditions, including the technology used and the price of inputs. The discount rate of interest that is used to find out the present value of the firm and the present value of the firm of the stream of expected future profits depend on the perceived risk of the firm, rate of expected inflation, and conditions in the financial markets. In making efficient and optimum decisions regarding pricing level of outputs, production, methods, cost, manager of the firm works under several constraints. So, decision making by a firm to maximize profits or value of the firm is called constraint optimization. These constraints include legal constraints, input constraints, and financial constraints. Legal constraints related to laws such as Minimum Wage Act, Companies Act, etc. The society imposes these constraints on the firm to modify behavior to make them consistent with overall social objectives. Input constraints relate to limited availability of essential physical inputs, and financial constraints relate to financial resources as it is able to raise. Apart from profit maximization and value maximization, business firms have other objectives too. Baumol has proposed maximization of sales revenue as an alternative to profit maximization objective. According to him, sales maximization leads to enhancement of prestige, reputation, perks of managers, strengthened competitive spirit of the firm, etc. Maris proposed maximization of the firm's balanced growth rate as an objective of the firm. Manager seeks to maximize the size of the firm. Maximization of size of the firm depends on the maximization of its growth rate. Williamson focused on maximization of marginal utility function. According to him, instead of maximizing profit, the managers of modern corporations seek to maximize their own utility function subject to minimum level of profit. The utility functions includes both quantifiable variables such as salary, power, status, job security, and non-quantifiable variables such as satisfaction level. At the end of this video, you all will be able to answer following questions. What managerial economics is all about? Managerial economics has both descriptive and prescriptive roles. Explain. Explain how managerial economics acquires its essential identity. Explain the various steps in management decision-making process. What is the nature and scope of managerial economics? Discuss the roles of managerial economists in modern business environment. Specify the important responsibilities of managerial economists. Explain briefly profit maximizing models of the firm, and lastly explain value maximization theory of the firm. Thank you so much.